Hey, welcome to The Explainer. So today we're tackling something that sounds simple, but is actually huge. It turns out there are two totally different ways we know stuff. And this little difference, well, it changes everything about how we think and see the world.
All right, let's just jump right in with a super simple question. Think about it. How do you know you're in pain?
I mean, with pain, the answer feels kind of obvious, doesn't it? You feel it. It's right there. It's direct. You don't have to look up some evidence or reason it out. You just have the pain. But now think about how you know you've got a dentist appointment. That's totally different, right? You know that because you saw it on your calendar, or maybe someone reminded you. It's knowledge about the appointment, not the feeling of the appointment itself. See? Two completely different ways of knowing.
And this isn't just some random thought experiment. The famous philosopher Bertrand Russell, he looked at this distinction and thought, wow, this is critical. This is fundamental to all of knowledge. And so he gave these two ways of knowing their own special names. Let's look at what Russell actually said, because his words are super precise. He wrote, "We shall say that we have acquaintance with anything of which we are directly aware, without the intermediary of any process of inference or any knowledge of truths." The key phrases there are directly aware and without inference. Basically, it's knowledge that just shows up. It's presented to you, you're not figuring it out.
So that first type, Russell called it knowledge by acquaintance. It's that raw, direct, unfiltered awareness. You're not judging the pain or thinking about it, you're just presented with the feeling itself. It's like the most direct hookup your mind can have with something.
And then there's the other kind, knowledge by description. This is all the stuff we know by piecing together facts. When we know that something is the so-and-so. It's always indirect, right? Because you're using other things you know to build a mental picture. Okay, to really get this, let's use a classic example from philosophy. Think about Jack the Ripper. How do we know anything about him? Literally everything we know about Jack the Ripper is just a big bundle of descriptions. We know he's the guy who did those awful murders in London back in 1888. We know he was a vicious person. These are all just facts about him. We have zero direct, first-hand acquaintance with the actual man. It's all 100% knowledge by description.
All right, so this seems pretty straightforward, right? We're acquainted with feelings, we know about historical figures through descriptions. Easy. But hold on, because this is where it gets really, really weird. You probably think you're directly acquainted with the stuff around you. The table you're at, a tree outside. But are you really?
So to figure this out, philosophers have this awesome tool called the method of doubt. The idea is simple. Just try to doubt everything you can, and whatever is left, whatever you absolutely cannot doubt, that's what you're truly acquainted with.
Okay, let's do it. Right now, look at whatever device you're watching this on and ask yourself, seriously, couldn't you be having this exact same visual experience, the light, the colors, all of it, in a really vivid dream or a hallucination? The physical thing wouldn't have to be there at all. And if the answer is yes, well, that means you're not directly acquainted with the computer. You're only acquainted with the experience of seeing it. And this leads to a wild, really mind-bending conclusion. If you follow this logic, it means we are not directly acquainted with physical objects at all.
So, if we're not acquainted with physical objects, then what's left? What are we actually acquainted with? Well, according to this theory, the list is super short, and it's all inside your head. We're acquainted with our own conscious states, that feeling of pain, for example. We're acquainted with our raw sensations, like the experience of seeing red. And we're even acquainted with the qualities of those sensations, like the redness of the red or the painfulness of the pain.
Okay, so maybe that's our rock-solid foundation, our own minds. Seems safe enough, right? Well, maybe not. Let's push this one last time with another famous thought experiment, one that really stretches the idea of acquaintance to its absolute limit.
Picture this. You glance over at a hen, and it's got a bunch of speckles on its side. You definitely see a speckled hen. Now, let's just say for the sake of the argument that it has exactly 48 speckles. So here's the million-dollar question. In that split-second glance, before you start counting, are you actually acquainted with the number 48? Is your direct awareness really that precise?
And this is where we see the limits. You're definitely acquainted with a general impression, a many-speckled sort of image. But you are not acquainted with the specific fact that it's 48 speckled. To get that number, you'd have to count. And counting is an act of description, right? It just goes to show even our most direct awareness has fuzzy borders.
Okay, so we've been through pain, Jack the Ripper, speckled hens, and you might be thinking, this is a fun little brain teaser, but why does any of this actually matter? What's the big deal about this whole acquaintance versus description thing?
Well, it matters a ton. Because for philosophers like Russell,
Acquaintance isn't just another way of knowing things. They argued it's the absolute foundation. It's the bedrock that our entire conscious and thinking life is built on.
I mean, just think about how massive that claim is. The idea is that acquaintance is the source of all our foundational knowledge, the stuff we just know without needing proof, like our own feelings. It's also supposed to be the building block for our ability to even think. Every idea you have has to be built, somehow, from things you're directly acquainted with. Even knowing something that seems obvious, like a triangle has 3 sides, supposedly rests on being acquainted with the concepts themselves.
So let me leave you with this one final question to think about. After everything we've talked about, just take a second, pay attention, and ask yourself, what are you, right now, truly and directly acquainted with? The answer might be a lot simpler and a whole lot deeper than you think. Thanks for joining me on The Explainer.